You walk into a room and the reason vanishes. It isn't your memory failing. It's something that didn't finish overnight. Every night, while you sleep, your brain runs a process most people have never heard of, one that decides how sharp, how clear, and how forgetful you'll be the next day. It only runs during one specific stage of sleep, and for most adults over 35, that stage is quietly shrinking. You know the moments. The name that sits right on the tip of your tongue and won't come. The sentence you started and lost halfway through. The meeting where you nodded along but nothing actually stuck. For a long time you've probably filed these under one heading: my memory is slipping. Maybe age, maybe stress, maybe just too much on your plate. But here's what the last decade of neuroscience has quietly established, and it changes the whole picture. Most of those moments don't start in your memory at all. They start the night before, in the dark, in a window of sleep you may be losing without realizing it. Your brain has two jobs to do every night that it cannot do while you're awake. The first is filing, taking the day's experiences and locking them into long-term memory. The second is cleaning, physically flushing out the metabolic waste your brain produces just by thinking all day. Both jobs happen in the same narrow window, the deepest stage of sleep, and here's the part nobody tells you: these two jobs aren't separate. They run on the exact same brain rhythm at the exact same time. So when that deep stage gets cut short, you don't lose one of them, you lose both. The memory doesn't get filed and the waste doesn't get cleared. To understand why, you need to meet a system your body kept hidden from science for over 100 years. Everywhere else in your body, there's a drainage network called the lymphatic system. It carries away waste and excess fluid all day, every day. For more than a century, anatomists believed the brain, the organ that produces the most waste per gram of any tissue you have, simply had none. No drain. It made no sense. But no one could find one. Then in 2012, a research team led by Mike and Nedergaard found it. They called it the glymphatic system, glia for the brain's support cells, lymphatic for what it does. Here's how it works. Your brain floats in a clear liquid called cerebrospinal fluid. The glymphatic system pumps that fluid through the brain tissue itself in one side, washing between the cells, and out the other, carrying the day's metabolic garbage with it. But it has one strange rule. It barely runs while you're awake. To do its real work, it needs you unconscious. In 2013, researchers measured exactly how much this system speeds up during sleep, and the results stunned the field. The spaces between brain cells widen, and fluid clearance jumps dramatically the moment an animal falls into deep sleep. The brain wasn't resting, it was rinsing. Then, in 2019, a team at Harvard and Boston University did something remarkable. They watched it happen in a living human brain. Using fast MRI, they recorded what occurs during the deepest dreamless stage of sleep, and what they saw was rhythmic. While you're awake, cerebrospinal fluid pulses gently small, fast ripples. But once you drop into deep sleep, something changes. Roughly every 20 seconds, a large, slow wave of fluid surges up into the brain, pulls back, and surges again. Wash, pause, wash, pause. All night long, but only in that deep stage. The waste those waves carry out includes two proteins by name, amyloid beta and tau. The same two proteins that, when they accumulate over years, are the hallmark of cognitive decline. Your nightly rinse is, in a very real sense, the brain's defense against its own buildup. Now here's where it ties back to the name on the tip of your tongue. Those slow waves that drive the fluid washing, they are the same slow waves your brain uses to consolidate memory. The 2019 study showed it directly. The electrical slow wave fires first, and the fluid wave follows it, locked in step. So in deep sleep, one rhythm is doing two things at once. As it files the day into memory, it also opens the floodgates and rinses. Memory and maintenance on a single beat. Which means a short, broken, shallow night isn't just tired. It's a night where the filing was interrupted and the cleaning never finished. The next morning, the name won't come because it was never properly stored, and the fog sits heavy because yesterday's residue is still there. It compounds. That's the part that should get your attention. When that metabolic waste isn't cleared and starts to build up, research shows it actually disrupts the slow waves themselves. The very rhythm you need to clean your brain gets damaged by the thing it's supposed to be cleaning. Worse sleep leads to more buildup, which leads to worse sleep. A quiet loop, tightening year over year. Age tilts the table further. As the small vessels in the brain stiffen with the decades, the pulses that power glymphatic flow weaken, meaning the same night of sleep clears less at 50 than it did at 30. This isn't a reason to panic. It's a reason to protect the one window you control. So the goal isn't simply more sleep, it's protecting the deep stage specifically because that's the only stage where any of this runs. A few things move that needle and they're not exotic. Consistency. Deep sleep is front-loaded into the first half of the night. Go to bed and wake up at wildly different times, and you rob yourself of the exact window that matters most. Temperature. Your body has to drop its core temperature to enter deep sleep. A cool, dark room isn't a comfort preference. It's a biological trigger. Alcohol timing. A drink near bed may knock you out faster, but it fragments the deep stage badly. You sleep, but you don't clean. Light. Bright light early in the day and dim light at night anchor the rhythm that tells your brain when to go deep. Get the timing of light wrong, and the depth follows, and then there's the raw material. Reaching and holding deep sleep depends on a handful of specific compounds your brain uses to settle the nervous system, magnesium, the amino acid, glycine, and the body's own sleep timing signal, melatonin, in the small amounts found naturally in things like tart cherry. If your routine is already solid, but you still wake up foggy and unrefreshed, there's a category of sleep support formulas built specifically around those deep sleep raw materials, not to sedate you, but to help your brain reach the stage where the real overnight work happens. I've put the one I'd look at first in the description below, with the science behind each ingredient. This is exactly the kind of research Cognitive Insight Lab digs into every single week, the hidden machinery behind how your mind actually works. If you want to keep up, subscribing takes about 2 seconds, and it genuinely helps the channel reach more people who need this. Before you go, thank you for giving this your attention all the way through. In a world built to fragment exactly the focus we just talked about, the fact that you sat with something this carefully says a lot about you. Protect that deep window tonight. Your tomorrow self is the one who collects the reward. One important note, this video is for educational purposes only and isn't medical advice. The glymphatic research is still a developing field, and persistent sleep problems or memory changes deserve a conversation with a qualified healthcare professional. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.